Hello, everybody. Tonight, this is a premiere. As you can see, I will try to pop in and out of the live chat, but I realized this morning when I was doing my hair that I was going to be at my mom's tomorrow. So for Christmas, it is our Christmas celebration. So I was going to have to record this today on Sunday, December 26th, if I wanted it to air on December 27th. So here we are. I kind of wanted to this is the last week of the year of 2021. So I kind of wanted to go over some things that I am striving to do in this next coming year when it comes to just me personally and my attitude about life and relationships and everything in general and different things that I hope to see be accomplished in my life. So pardon the background noise if you hear anything. I am at church. There are still people here. They're staying the whole day. So we got kids running around screaming. If it picks up that at all, that is what you hear. So I wanted to talk tonight about finding self-worth in a cancel culture. That's really hard to say fast. In a cancel culture society. We live in a society that is full of people who want to eliminate those that are different in any way. And if anything, these last 2 years has been very, very indicative of that going on as far as anyone that has a different opinion, if we want to handle COVID differently, if we want to take the jab or not take the jab, or wear a mask or not wear a mask. It's been very, very divisive. And the powers that be, those in charge, have tried to make it a very divisive subject. And I've never seen the country more divided than it is today. So it's obvious that there is all of that going on. And then just when it comes to Christianity in general, we find that the social media platforms are becoming less and less tolerant of Christianity, of any ideals that don't go along or fit the norm. It become very, very intolerant of those. And so they are censoring like crazy. They're censoring different views, whether it comes to God or church or and just even differences with health. If you decide to do something different than the norm when it comes to health, that's being censored even on Facebook and different things like that. So we obviously live in a very divided society. And we know as Christians that this is going to get worse and worse as time goes on, and as we get closer to the end times, as we get closer to Christ coming back, this is going to get worse. So I thought I would just try to give some encouragement to those that are facing, maybe you're facing a time of doubt in your own life. You have relationships that are suffering, and you've gone through things that make you question your validity as a woman, as a person, as, am I doing the right thing? Maybe you feel worthless being a stay-at-home mom. And I'm just here to encourage you a little bit. And you are not worthless. You are a child of the King. You are a daughter of the Most High. And as such, find your self-worth in Jesus Christ. Obviously, it all comes down to that, finding your self-worth in Jesus Christ and not anything outside of that. But I'm going to kind of go over a few things. When I was doing my hair this morning, I literally just voice texted all of this into an email. So I'm hoping it will make sense. I'm hoping I'll come across okay. And I want to share a little bit of my heart with you going forward into this new year when it comes to my relationships, my goals, my dreams, my intent for this channel, which I did on the purpose of this channel. I kind of went over some of those things. But for me personally, when it comes to this idea of, as a woman, finding self-worth, because I believe that women really struggle with this. So, we live in a world of cancel culture, whether it comes to celebrities, government officials, stuff that happens in high school, with our kids, other kids, even denominations. You have different cults and things like the Amish, Mormons, different things like that, where they will literally cancel a person if they choose to go against the higher ups or what goes on in that cult. So it's a very human nature thing to try to get rid of differing opinions and differing beliefs and different things like that. So how do we as women find ourselves worthy in a culture ready to cancel anyone that is different in any way, or that bucks the system, or that goes against the norm? So I'm going to go over some tips today and points that hopefully will help you find your self-worth in a world gone mad. So obviously this all boils down to being happy and content in who you are in Jesus Christ. I can't do that for you. This is something that you are going to have to figure out. You're going to have to figure out how to be happy. You're going to have to figure out how to be content in who God made you, whether that comes to your physical features, your personality. We're all different. We've all had different upbringings. We've all had different lives. And as such, it shapes us differently. It forms, us differently. But we all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. And we're all very individual when it comes to our looks. I do believe that women really struggle with this, who maybe are addicted to different aspects in life, such as social media, TikToks, reels, constantly watching them, constantly comparing themselves, even just Pinterest things, Facebook things with the moms on there with all the stuff they do for their kids. And, we already have enough guilt on us as moms. We don't need to make it worse. So if that is a hindrance to you, if that's a stumbling block to you, and you find yourself just sucked up into it and it's making you very unhappy and very discontent, cut it out of your life. That is the best thing that I can tell you to do. Cut it out of your life. You're going to find your self-worth only in Jesus Christ alone. That is the catalyst. That's what holds your life together. That's what defines your self-worth, is your relationship with Jesus Christ. If you can come to the place of acceptance of yourself, whether that's physical appearance, whether that's your personality, whether that's your strengths and your weaknesses, then that's what's going to really get you victory in this area of finding self-worth. Because realize that Jesus made you special, and your worth lies in you and your relationship with him and finding peace and fulfillment through Jesus Christ. He is that missing piece that so many people look their whole lives for. They go after money, and they go after fame, and they go after maybe physical beauty and notoriety and different things like that. But they realize at the end that it's Jesus that they're missing. It's knowing him. It's believing on him for salvation, and then growing closer to him and following him and loving him. So obviously that is a lot easier said than done. We have a lot of other noise going on in our lives. We have all this stuff that we have to be working on at the same time. We have our marriage relationship and our relationship with our kids and our relationship with our friends. And then we've got relationship with Jesus Christ that should be first and foremost. But he is the one that brings you your self-worth as a woman. Now, that being said, earthly relationships that are healthy and functioning, they do bring a level of happiness. But they're like a perk to our life, right? They shouldn't be our only purpose. And we shouldn't only find our self-worth in even being a mom. Even though being a mom is a good thing, we shouldn't just wrap up how we feel about ourselves 100% in what kind of mom am I, because our kids are going to fail us. We're going to fail our kids. We're going to fail as wives. Our husbands are going to fail us. So all these earthly relationship type things, if we even make them into a sort of idol or a sort of God over our relationship of that with Jesus Christ, then they're not going to bring us the peace and fulfillment that we're looking for as well. So, if you try to build your whole life around relationships, people will let you fail. But speaking of relationships, what do we do when people are trying to cancel us? And I do want to go over that a little bit. This is like all jumbled because I was just kind of talking my thoughts out. So forgive me if I'm not as like polished this time. I'm just kind of reading through some of my thoughts that I had and stuff. So what do we do when people try to cancel us? And this is going to come with, maybe they're trying to cancel us because we're a Christian. Maybe family members are trying to cancel you because maybe you did get saved later in life. And now suddenly, you are striving to follow Christ and your life is changing for the better, but they can't see that. They just know that you're different. They just know that you've changed and they don't like it. So because of that, they are trying to cancel you. Or, if you have relationships with narcissists and different things like that, you'll notice that They go on a smear campaign against you. They're telling lies about you. They're making the narrative up. They're trying to convince people that you're an awful person. So what do you do when people try to do that to you? Well, number one, what I try to do is surround myself with people who have a healthy approach to life, because you're going to often pick up on the personality and the approach that your friends or those closest to you do. So, and for me, and these would be people who don't try to control me or my friendships or my relationships with other people. People who treat me with dignity and respect. And then remember that if you're surrounding yourself with people who are acting that way, then you need to reciprocate and act the same way towards others. And that's my goal, is moving forward in life through this next year. I want to be better towards people, as far as when I'm trying to think of how to explain this. Okay. Trying to see everyone as an individual with real feelings and real thoughts and real emotion and real heart. Even when it comes to even just getting some of the nasty things said about me on my channel. Like I'll go right now and I'll share this. I had said something about it on Facebook, but I have to be careful. You have to be careful not just to be on this hair trigger to just like blast anybody. Remember that a lot of people have a lot of hurt in their lives. And so because of that hurt, they lash out at you. You aren't the problem. They have the problem, but they're lashing out at you because of their hurt. So someone found my hair tutorial, whether I was talking about how I straighten my hair. I have natural curly hair. This is not natural curly. I have natural curly hair, but because I only wash my hair twice a week, I'll straighten it, blow dry it straight, and it's a frizzy mess. So then I have to curl the end. So I like put it up in a ponytail. Anyways, there's a hair tutorial about that. Someone found it. They watched the whole thing, I guess. And they said, "You really have time for this? Your hair looks fine. Seems you just want to be worldly. You are a lover of yourself." So someone left that comment and I literally laughed when I saw it. It really didn't upset me. I'm kind of past the point of getting upset by funny comments like that. But instead of just blasting this person, I thought, this is a real person with real emotions, and maybe they just had a bad day and I just annoyed them. They found my channel, they found my video, and they just wanted to tell someone off. And I don't know who they are. It's the name Pam. I don't know who they are. I don't know what they've been through today. Maybe their dog died. Maybe they had someone close to them get in a really bad wreck. Who knows? So I just said, LOL, there's nothing wrong with wanting to look nice. I stated my opinion. I don't believe there's anything wrong with trying to look nice. So that's my personal opinion. That's my personal belief. It doesn't have to be yours, but it's fine. And then I said, try to relax and enjoy life a little more instead of calling names and belittling other women. You'll be a lot happier. I don't believe that it's our place to put down other women, to call them out. I do believe in speaking the truth in honesty. And I'll speak up when I need to, especially if someone is going after the ones that I love. But there's a difference in speaking the truth and then just belittling someone constantly, trying to put them down, trying to cut them down to make yourself feel better. But the one thing that I am trying to do with different comments and things is to remember, it's not just some random generated comment. There's an actual person behind that comment. There's an actual person behind those words. So just trying to keep that in mind anytime that I respond. So because I would appreciate it when people respond that way to me, I will also try to respond that way to other people. But let me see other people as having worth and value, and stand for honesty and integrity and goodness. But when it comes to others trying to cancel you, establish some boundaries. Sometimes it's all it takes for people to kind of separate themselves from you is when you start establishing boundaries in your life. And we all have boundaries, whether or not we realize it. It's just some we let slide for a really, really long time. Looking back, I've been doing a lot of research when it comes to people that have control issues, people that tend to be narcissistic in their life. And I've been watching a lot of videos about it and seeing what your correct response should be when it comes to people like that. And one thing that I've realized I've done wrong in the past is I have tried to hang on too long. I've tried to make things work when it was apparent that they weren't going to. Maybe that, that person wasn't going to change, or maybe we just weren't compatible when it came to our personalities. So that's one thing I've noticed, is that I've tried to make things work sometime a little too long, when maybe I should have just said, oh, we need to go our own ways. We need to part. We need to, do this isn't working. So I've learned to not try to make things work with an unhealthy individual, someone that may be broken when it comes to relationships. And I have too much on my plate as far as when it comes to my church. And I have 8 kids, guys, 8 kids. Having just 8 kids takes pretty much 99% of everything that's in me just to raise them. So, and if you're raising kids right, and you're putting in the energy and the time and the emotional, the emotional needs that they have and the physical needs that they have, and running your home and all these other things, if you're putting all of that time and energy into that, you're not going to have a lot left for other relationships. So I have determined going forward that, yes, I will be here to help those that need help when it comes to maybe not knowing if they want help when it comes to wanting to work on their relationship. But I don't have a lot of the time and energy needed to just fix someone completely. And once again, I can't fix anyone completely. No one can fix anyone completely. The only one who can fix a person, if they desire it, is the Lord. The Lord is going to have to be the one. And it says in the Bible that the Lord, he's the healer of broken hearts. So he binds up the brokenhearted. So he has the power to do that. I don't have the power to heal anybody. I can be here and offer my encouragement and my compassion and my love. But at the end of the day, if they want help, they're going to have to get that help through the Lord. So, and obviously the difference in this is if it's family or if it's just an acquaintance. Obviously, if it's family, you're going to try to make it work a little bit more than if it's just an acquaintance. But even with family, there are some boundaries that maybe need to be set. But yeah, even then, establish some boundaries for them. For me personally, because of my personality, I have some boundaries established in my own life. And especially since being in the ministry, I was super naive going into it. And I just you tend to think of others how you are in your heart. So I was naive going into this, but I've learned a lot over the years. But number one, I'm not comfortable in a relationship where the other person tries to control my personality, who my friends are, or even how I act. And in true friendship, you accept the other person's, flaws and all. You're going to accept that other person. So number two, when you're my friend, you can hear some noise in the background. That's okay. When you're my friend, my family is included in that package. So if you have a problem with my husband, you have a problem with me. If I see you attacking my husband, I'm pretty much done. Number 3, that's about it. I pretty much have those 2 guidelines. I don't like being controlled, and I don't try to control my friends. And I don't fall into this whole political game. If I like a person and I want to be their friend, then I'm their friend. I don't care who their friends are. I don't care. I don't want to look into their background and figure out everything about them. And if I like them, I like them. That's it. So I don't have a lot of guidelines or rules or boundaries I set. I think those 2 are pretty common sense. So if you realize that your self-worth does not lie in relationships, it will help a lot when a relationship is broken, because people we do have broken relationships in life, and it's not always your fault. Sometimes it is. I can look back at times in my life and accept responsibility for those things that maybe I played into, and then just try to learn from that and do better the next time. So, what do you do though when someone is trying to cancel you? Number 1, once again, realize that your self-worth doesn't lie in the opinion of others. So I'm going to share a little bit of my heart right now, but this is an area that's been a little difficult for me because in my mind, the opinion of others is equal to my testimony. Okay, so when I was growing up, that's a little bit of my background. I was the good Christian girl, right? I grew up going to youth conferences and preaching seminars, and it was drilled in my head that pretty much your testimony is everything. Like the story of the Scarlet Letter was horrifying to me growing up because in my mind, that would be like one of the worst things that could happen to you. Like you have this, this purity that you're like guarding. And then, this girl, she, what's her name? Hester or something. I can't even remember. This girl, like she sins and, loses her purity. And then she's branded pretty much for the rest of her life. And in my mind, that's horrible thing, because it was drilled in me from the time I was little, you are a Christian, Christians act a certain way. They, don't do certain things. They do certain things. Your testimony is everything. So you lose your testimony and, pretty much your life's over. Not really, but that was branded in my head from all those youth conferences I went to. And, they had good intentions. I understand. And I still believe that your testimony is very, very important. But as I've gotten older, I've learned that my testimony isn't so much public perception, but rather my personal walk with the Lord and what he thinks of me. That's the testimony that I need to. And then also the things that I know are true in my heart. If you, I've seen, back a couple years ago when my husband got some people mad at him, there are so many lies about him out there and just so many awful things that were being said. It was hard for me at first because like that as a teenager, that would have been the worst thing ever. Like all these people saying these untrue things, saying these horrible things, and our testimony's ruined, and everything. But I knew that these things weren't true. He knew that these things weren't true. And the Lord knew that these things weren't true. So that's all that matters is our relationship and our testimony with the Lord. The Lord sees it all. He knows what you're doing when no one's looking. It's not just public perception. He knows what goes on in your heart. He knows what goes on in your mind. He knows if you're forgiving. He knows if you harbor hate. He knows if you harbor bitterness. So it's not just public perception, because public perception can be wrong. If you look at stories even of, Kyle Rittenhouse, so many things came out in his trial that the public had gotten wrong. He had already been tried in the court of public opinion, and he was found guilty. But during the trial, as things started coming out, it was apparent that public perception had been wrong quite a bit about what happened that night. And it was made obvious. And thankfully, I believe that the jury looked at the hard facts and saw that. And even though there was public pressure to find him guilty, I do believe that they did the right things. But once again, that just shows you how different public perception can be from the actual truth. So I've learned my testimony isn't so much about public perception, but rather my personal walk with the Lord and what he thinks of me. Unfortunately, people are going to lie about you. They're going to make stuff up about you. They're going to try to slander your name and spread things about you. You can't help that. But what you can help is if you have any character or integrity at all. Integrity is what you are when no one's watching. No one can have a close relationship with Jesus Christ other than you. So your walk with God is what truly matters. So it was when I came to this realization that it did not bother me as much when people are trying to smear my name and gossip and talebear and all these other things, because it doesn't really matter. What matters is what the Lord thinks of me. What matters is what those close to me think about me. What matters is if I'm being a good friend to my best friend, if I'm being a good friend to this other good friend. That's what matters to me, if I'm being the friend that I need to be to them. So this is what I do personally when people try canceling me, whether that comes to family members, whether that comes to the outside world, whether that comes to, peers or colleagues or whatever. So number one, I consider the source. Is this person one who does it to a lot of people, or are they extremely, picky about are they normally a gracious person and then they're doing it to me? Now, if this is a person that is known for having relationship problems, It might not be me that has a problem. It's probably them. And most people that have chronic relationship problems, they're always at the source of it. So if they are continually having problems, they can't get along with anyone. They can't get along with their parents. They can't get along with their spouse. They can't get along. They had a best friend for 20 years and then they drop them. If they're, if it's someone that is chronically having broken relationships, then it's probably not someone that you need to take, real offense to when they dump you as well. So, number 2, do I want this person in my life? That's a valid answer. We don't have to mesh with everyone that comes along in our life. So, and then number 3, I forgive and move on. And by forgiving and moving on, number 4, I don't play their game. So I've learned a lot over the last few years when it comes to just being in ministry, dealing with different relationships and different things like that. So there are people that are just, they're hurt people. And because they're hurt people, they hurt other people. And usually that happens. Hurt people hurt other people. So keep that in mind when you are being hurt, is that hurt people hurt other people. And then it might not be you. It just might be they're broken when it comes to relationships. So by not playing their game, that means a lot of times with different people that have control issues and different things like that, they need you to respond to them. They need you to lash out back at them. So don't play that game. You don't have to be the same way as them. You don't have to lower yourself to their tactics. So I've found that the best thing is just to ignore, move on, get it out of your head, really let go of it, and just move on with your life and be happy. And then, I also, number 5, I focus on the relationships of the people that love and support me. Those who truly love and support you. And they're not the ones that are going to turn on you on a dime just because the opinion of someone else's changes on you. Let's say that you have a sibling that you're close to. You and your other sibling get in a fight and they go tell your sibling that you're close to. Well, if the sibling that you're close to suddenly turns on you and wants something to do with you just because sibling 2 said something, you obviously weren't that close to begin with. So the ones that know me and love and support me know fact from fiction. So in 2022, I'm going to focus on building relationships with those who bring value to my life. I'm going to move on, forget the crazy last 2 or 3 years with all this COVID nonsense and everything going on with that. And I'm going to focus on the ones that are special to me and love me for who I am. So even though people think that they have the power to cancel you, they really don't. And just keep that in mind for any situation, whether that's them trying to cancel Christians, them, the powers of you, whatever. No one has the power to truly cancel you because you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And as much as they want to get rid of you, you have value and you matter. You are not trash. You are not rubbish. There is no saved person of Christ, no saved child of God is trash. Every saved person has value. And if we truly are pro-life, then we will start seeing people as people that have value and not just, throw around the names so easily. So what about cancer culture when it comes to Christianity? How do we deal with that? So number 1, you need to remember that we're part of the world without joining the world. That is, we obviously have to live here. We can't go out on a compound, and I wouldn't want to go on a compound in the middle of nowhere and live there. So we are part of this world without joining the world. And what does that look like? Well, without joining their ideology when it comes to anything, whether that's evolution, whether that's abortion or things to do with aborted fetal tissue. And that could be doing your research even when it comes to the jabs. I'm trying to be careful with the words I say. So just you can be part of the world. Like with me, it's all about finding balance, right? So I do take my kids to the pediatrician. I have a pediatrician who I really like and respect. And I take my kids in. I have an appointment this week for Allie because she's got something weird going on with her fingernails. So I'm taking her in to get checked out. I have established a relationship with him just because of the crazy world that we live in and false allegations and people that from the outside that hate us and all this. So I've established a relationship with him. I take them for well baby checkups the entire first year, just so he can get to know them. But I don't do the whole medical system game. As you know, most of you know, I am against different jabs and things because I am unashamedly pro-life, and many of them have their roots developed in fetal cell tissue. And because of that, if I truly am pro-life, why would I want that injected into my children? I didn't know this until I started researching it until about 9 years ago. So up until that point, my kids had received a lot of their vaccinations. I did not do all of them. I thought a lot of them were very silly, like the ear infection one. I never did that one. I did pretty much the standard, like the DTaP and the measles, mumps, rubella. I think they did get the chickenpox one up until Allie, but I still picked and chose which ones that I wanted to do. So I was always a little bit skeptical. And then when I started researching it, then I found out why I was skeptical. So thankfully, none of my kids ever had a reaction to any of it. But I try to play the balance game. I'll go for dental work, but maybe not do absolutely everything they suggest, So I do the medical thing to establish a relationship with the doctor. But and the nice thing about my doctor is he never gives me any hassle about my kids not being jabbed. And he always takes a very common sense approach to any problem that, comes up. So I really appreciate that about him. But that's just my way of being a part of the world, but not a part of the world system, not fully joined to the world system. You embrace some, but reject other parts of it. So realize that number 2, that things are going to get continually worse, the closer that we get to the end times. So it just comes with the territory. Things are going to get more hostile to us. So we need to try to live peaceably with all men, be pleasant, be kind. I'm not going into the doctor's office preaching him the horrors of vaccinations. He's in the system. He is not going to see my point of view. He respects that I don't do it, and he doesn't give me a hard time about it, which I really appreciate. And that's super rare nowadays. So I'm happy with that. I don't need him to see things from the way that I do, because we have completely different mindsets. He's been through medical school and all of that. So he sees things differently than I do. But number 3, teach your kids to take a stand. As the world gets worse and worse, we will need to take a stand when it comes to different things, such as maybe headed to the mark of the beast. So I haven't, this last 2 years, I think have been good for my kids because they have seen how different our family is. And that hasn't bothered them. They're to the point now. Illinois still has this stupid mask mandate. They're to the point now they won't wear one. And they're like, we don't care if we're the only ones not doing it. It's stupid. They don't believe in it. And so I think it's been good for them to stick out, stand out a little bit. Sometimes we get stares because our whole family is going everywhere maskless, but that doesn't bother me. And it doesn't bother me that they don't mind taking it. I like seeing that they're taking a stand and they don't mind being a little different. You know what? And if that's not your family's hill to die on, that's totally fine. This is something that really annoys my family. Annoys me and my husband and my kids. And so we're not going to play their little game anymore. So that's just something that the McMurtry, okay, leave us alone about it. You can go ahead and wear your mask if you want, but leave us alone because we don't want to. So, it always comes down to balance. The world's not going to understand our way of life. So don't fill our head with the world's nonsense. Once again, whether that comes to not watching the shows out there, not watching the propaganda, not watching commercials if you don't need to, because commercials are even full of propaganda. So we don't need the world's nonsense in our head. But I know this is going to be a shorter one than normal, but that's fine. And normally I would, ask for questions and things like that. But going forward, into 2022, the way that I am going to be peaceful and be at rest and finding my self-worth is remembering that God made each and every person unique. There's no cookie cutter IFB pastor's wife. There's no cookie cutter IFB wife. Okay. So I've actually, just like the comment that I read where she called me a lover myself, I've had women that have left me nasty comments with having a problem that I wear makeup. And for me, it's just silly because I don't try to micromanage other women. I can give advice and I can give my opinion. But at the end of the day, I've always said from the beginning of the show, and I will continue to say, every home is different. Your husband is different than my husband. I'm different than you. My standards are different than your standards. And your beliefs don't have to be my beliefs, especially for stuff that the Bible does not talk about. Where the Bible is silent, we don't need to make rules. And makeup is just one of those things. Doing your hair is one of those things. It really bothers me when I see, even my husband jokingly said this about the Baptist IFB women a few years ago because he noticed everyone was wearing those infinity scarves. And he was like, we're in a cult because every single woman is wearing one of these things. What is this? We're in a stinking scarf cult. he kept saying we were in a cult because of that. But, everyone kind of tends to copy who they're around. And I think it was just everyone likes scarves. Well, and I told him, especially in winter, I'm wearing this scarf someone made for me today. It's not an infinity scarf, but there's no cookie cutter pastor life. So it concerns me if I see women trying to be exactly like maybe a role model or a hero, or you can look up to people without trying to meld yourself into their exact mannerisms and exactly the way they talk and walk and do their hair, or if they don't do their hair or wear makeup, or if they don't wear makeup, or, it's just a little creepy. We're all individuals for a reason. And there is no cookie cutter IFB pastor's wife. There's no cookie cutter IFB wife. There's no cookie cutter Baptist wife. So, some of us wear makeup, some of us don't. Some of us have higher standards. Some of you watching even wear pants. I don't wear pants. I've always promoted skirts because I think they're the most modest thing, the most feminine thing for women. But we have women that come to our church that wear pants, and guess what? We love them just as much as the ones that don't. So, we've never thrown anyone out for wearing pants to our church. So stop trying to fit into a mold that someone has come up with and just follow the leading of the Holy Spirit. Because I've seen it throughout my life when women try to fit into a cookie cutter just because they think it's expected of them. After a couple of years, they burn out and they just go back, maybe sometimes even worse than what they were doing before, because it wasn't a real conviction. So don't do something unless it's a real conviction. Don't have a standard in your life unless the Holy Spirit has led you to have that standard in your life. So, I read the one comment, but yeah, I get a lot of comments that come in, and a lot of times I just think to myself, this is a very hurting person, because this isn't what they're saying about me. It's not what's in my heart. It's not me. So for them to project that on me means that that's what's in their heart, and there is this common thing of projection and gaslighting. And just because someone says something that is their perception of me does not make it true. But yeah, you as a woman, you can have worth in relationships, but that should not be all that's wrapped up in it. Such as, like, I don't find my self-worth in my relationship with my husband. It's a good relationship. I love him, and I find a lot of peace and comfort and stability and strength and all that good stuff in my relationship with him. But I don't live and breathe and just exist because of him. I live and I breathe and I exist because of God and because of Jesus Christ. They are the reason that I live and I breathe and exist. And they are the reason that I do what I do. They're the reason I try to be a good wife. They're the reason I try to be a good mom. They're the reason that I try to be a good church member. They're the reason that I try to do good, period. Or he is Christ, Jesus Christ, and God. They're the reason that that I live and breathe and exist. So I find my self-worth in Jesus Christ and him alone. He's the one who gives me validation. He's the one who gives me worth. So this year, I encourage all of you to focus on healthy relationships. Number 1, your relationship with Jesus Christ. Number 2, your relationship with your husband. Number 3, your relationship with your kids. Number 4, all other relationships. So he is the one who gives me validation. I encourage all of you to let go of past wrongs. Everything that's happened in the last few years, just take it and throw it away. Out of your head. Pretend like you're just grabbing it all out of your head, throw it away, and then leave it there. After you throw away the trash of the day, you don't go digging through it the next day. Oh, I forgot about this. I'm going to take this back out. Well, why do we do it with our thoughts? And why do we do it with our wrongs, or the wrongs that have been done against us? And why do we do it with bitterness? Take it out, throw it away, and leave it there. Move on. I encourage all of you to move forward with grace, patience, and love. I encourage all of you to be better than you were last year. I encourage all of you to let go of the gossip, let go of the evil speaking, let go of being nitpicky, let go of your temper, let go of the bitterness, the anger, and just move forward to live your best life in the Lord. Your self-worth is not found in anything other than Jesus Christ. Your self-worth is not found in the world system. But on the flip side, but even if you are the perfect mother and the perfect wife, but your heart isn't right, then your self-worth isn't going to be found in that either. You can even make those things into an idol and into a god, and thinking that if I'm just the perfect mother and then just trying to achieve that and attain that, and you're going to fall short. We're all going to fall short. It comes down to having the good heart, your heart is in the right place, and then having your mind stayed on Jesus Christ. Just remember that you are a daughter of the King. Okay. God created you for a purpose, and you have unique personality traits, unique physical traits, and you're just unique all around. There's no one just like you. So stop trying to look for others and trying to find your worth in others, and instead look inwardly. Let this be a year of self-reflection. We can all self-reflect. We all have flaws. We all have things that we need to improve on. So try to fix what you can. Try to fix inwardly what you can. And then when you start fixing the inward stuff, that's when it's going to come on the outward stuff. Rely on the Lord. Draw closer to him. Be content with your life. Be happy with your life. Be happy with God created you, and you're going to find self-worth in that. So self-worth isn't this mystery thing that's just unattainable. It is attainable, but it comes down to contentment, happiness in how God made you, happy with your unique strengths and your unique personality traits, happiness and contentment, and then just drawing close to him. So that's where your self-worth is going to be found. It's going to be found alone in Christ. And then, like I said, I know that's a lot easier said than done, but this year, let's all encourage each other to get better. Let's get better in 2022. Let's get better at relationships. Let's get better at our walk with Christ. Let's get better at Bible reading. Let's get better at staving off our temper. Let's get better at having gracious responses to people, even if they hurt us. People are going to hurt you. You cannot help how people act towards you, but you can help how you react towards the hurt. So let's focus on that this year in 2022 and all become better individuals for it. So that is my prayer for me. That is what I'm going to focus on this year. And I hope that you can find your self-worth in Jesus Christ, because there is no better feeling than being happy with who you are and being content and letting Christ work through you. So I hope that was a help, and I hope you all had a Merry Christmas. We did. We had a very good Christmas, and like I said, we're celebrating Christmas again, and then it's back to normal next week. So I look forward to seeing you next year. That sounds funny. Next Monday, I look forward to seeing you, and I'm sure we'll have lots of good topics to talk about. If you have any suggestions, leave them below. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's move onward and forward to do better and bigger things for the Lord this year. Be better wives, be better moms, be better friends. So I will see you guys later.